write a bit of tune to it. And I'm sorry I'm sort of all uh, disheveled or whatever, but I'm also working on an art project, which is up here in my desk. So I've kept a little tiny part of my desk so I can write. Um, so I'm not professing to be like the world's best songwriter. So by any stretch of the imagination, but it is something that I enjoy doing, and it's something that I've been learning more about. So I would call myself a novice at best. But yeah, so I'm going to give it a minute just in case somebody drops by, because what I was really hoping to do is have somebody give me a topic or a subject for the song. And if not, then I'll just, I'll pick something random. But yeah, so I don't know what you. I don't know if you actually write songs yourselves or lyrics. But I find for me the initial inspiration when I sit down to write just hits, and it decides. It sort of comes naturally if it's going to rhyme or not rhyme. Um, I do sit with it for a moment and think about, what is the story that I'm trying to tell. I do believe the best songs are stories. Um, and so if I'm going to write about something, I want there to be a reason behind the song, rather you know, than just a catchy tune. Um, if I'm going to do a catchy tune, I just won't write lyrics to it. So, but I haven't come up with a catchy tune yet. So everything has a story in my life. Um, so if you if you do write, some people are really blessed to just have something downloaded to them. I have a girlfriend who, I think I mentioned this in a previous live, but I have a girlfriend who writes poetry, and the poems are just downloaded to her. She's like, she's like a scribe. That must be such an incredible feeling. That doesn't happen to me. I mean, I'll get a couple of words or maybe a couplet or something like that kind of thing, but a whole song, yeah, it just doesn't happen for me. So I really have to go through the process of it. Um, okay, so what I find though is in writing a song, and again, this is something I'm still investigating. So do your own investigation or do your own research, so to speak. But a lot of songs seem to have, two stanzas, three choruses, and a bridge. And a bridge, I've come to learn, is sort of something that often the tempo of the music itself changes. Sometimes the key changes. Um, it often will um, sort of summarize or bring home the main point behind the song. Um, so these are sorts of things that I sort of keep in mind when I'm writing. And so I think I'm just going to sort of randomly pick something to write about today. And I think I'm going to pick. I think I'm going to pick scissors. I'm going to write a song about scissors. So, um, and it's not going to be the best song necessarily, but what was it? What would I like to say about scissors? I mean, certainly an idea about scissors is about cutting things. So it's about cutting things apart, cutting things out. That plays really well into music, I think. Um, maybe it talks about them being sharp. Um, something you hold on to. And this is sort of the process that I'll go through. I'll just sort of randomly write down things as they occur to me. So I'll brainstorm, and so everything I can think about that have to do with, in this particular instance, scissors, because they just happen to be sitting here on my desk in front of me. um, and even that, like, these scissors are totally different than like great big pinking shears or whatever that you'd use for sewing, or great big paper cutters or shears, like for gardening, which are also like a sort of a form of a scissor, that kind of thing. So even what you're looking at, can play heavily onto the influence, because these are super, super pointy. Um, whereas not all scissors are pointy like that. So I'm just trying to think of sort of more the um, common things. And the word isn't pivot, but I'm going to write down pivot just till I look up what it is I'm trying to remember. But that whole idea of, them sliding, gliding could also, just in that thought, this might be a rhyming song. Because I'm thinking about, when you cut paper, often the scissors will glide along the paper, like Christmas time. It's like, shh, what a this is a great sense of joy comes out of that for me. um, Shaping things. I'm going to put down puncture. I'm not sure if I'll use that or not, but I could use them to puncture things. I'm going to stay away from things like, although you could easily put that in there as well, but things like stabbing and that kind of thing. I think it's a trigger word that in this particular little ditty, I don't think I'm going to go into anything that deep. But I do like the idea of, I really like the idea of cutting things out. I like the idea of shaping things. I like the idea of holding on to things, of them being sharp, and this pivot idea, which I can play easily into the transition throughout the song. So I think I'll just sort of start with those ideas and see where they take me. And I don't know, I mean, sometimes I know, but I mean, in this instance, I don't know if I'm going to write the verse first or the chorus first or the second verse first or the bridge first. I just sort of write, and then I'll realign and go from there. So cutting things out. So that to me would be like cutting. And it's just the word cut alone. Okay. I wanted to look up that pivot. So I will often go just grab a fresh sheet and I'll just say synonym for pivot. For pivot. No. No, I'm getting not what I'm looking for. Just trying to think what that term is, that, because I'm thinking of this sort of motion, right, as a pivot, but it's not really. I don't think it's really a pivot. Okay, I'll leave that aside for now. So I think basically I'm going to write a song about. I mean, scissors were the key, but I think it's going to be a song about holding on to something or someone. And obviously, this could easily, go into some sort of a love song. It's a very common theme. And maybe the shaping of, I'm going to put in quotation marks, like myself, the singer. Okay. I think I can run with that sort of general idea. I'm sort of looking up because I'm hoping somebody's going to jump on and save me because it's easier to bounce ideas off of somebody else. Okay, here we go. Interesting, it's not running. So far I've just written down. You came into my life when times were good for both of us. We were young and wild and fettered by life's. Sorry for the gurgling in the background. That's my studio sink. Somebody's doing a load of washing. We're young and wild and fettered by life's. Responsibilities or something. I'm going to go back and change a lot of these words, I can tell already. But just to get the idea down. Okay, so here's something. You came to my life when times were good for both of us. We were young and wild and fettered by life's responsibilities. We had fun going on adventures all over the land. We would sit together at the end of the night, and I would hold your hand. So it's like an A, B, C, C kind of a thing, and it kind of, I guess that's would be like the beginning. It might be the first verse, because it just sets up, sort of an intro to the to the whole idea. And the verse isn't sticking to me yet, so I'm going to sort of continue with the story part of it. So I'm looking for something that's going to rhyme with overburdened, which could be almost anything. It's sort of a... So when I look for rhymes, I overburdened. I do one of two things. I go to the, check out the World Wide Web and look for something that way. Oops. My phone there. Ooh. Sorry, I'm going to turn off my phone.
Welcome to another episode.
Just
for Brent's musings.
Yeah. Stop.
Honestly, I usually
Stop. Okay. Sorry. The there you go. Turn off. Yeah. So I do. So I look at the internet sometimes to ask me things. But the other thing I'll do is I'll go through the alphabet in my sort of head and I'll sort of go, okay, so I'm going overburdened. B, well, obviously burden is already there. So C, curtained, D, dirtened, E, F, I sort of go through the alphabet that way. And a lot of times that'll give me a rhyme, especially for, a single or even a double syllabic word. But, overburdened, I'm going I'm going to go right to the internet for that one. And some of the examples they give are actually very good because they're giving me words like heard and stirred and word, and then they also give me some 3-syllable ideas, which okay, they give me 1 syllable. They give me 1 3-syllable idea, which is disburdened, which is too close. But they did come back and give me 3 syllables in 2 words. So like absurd and incurred and occurred and preferred and. So out of those examples that they've given me, I think I'm going to take. I think I'm going to take this idea of blurred and heard, Heard, and stirred, maybe. Preferred. Absurd. Okay, so I sort of have 5 ideas there to play with. So we'll see how that goes. And I might use this in the. Now we're at a point where we're feeling overburdened, where one sad event turns into another. Manic isn't the right word. Into another. Problematic. Problematic something. Not sure what that's going to be yet. Okay, so I'm going to come up with a word that rhymes with now. So this is where I'll go to my usual thing. I'll go A, B, bow. Okay, so that bow. Cow. Dow. E, F, G, H, how, I, J, K, L, M, Q, S, T. Okay, so I've got the word is now, and I've got how, which I think is it's going to be weak. Definitely not going to use a bow or a cow. Although I could use bow maybe, but I won't. Vow might work really well though. So now this isn't going the way I want it to go. So just check this for a second. So I'm saying now it's now up there. Adventures are few and far between. Now we're at a point where we're fairly overburdened when one side event turns into another problematic. I'm blank with drama, but that's not the word I'm going to use either. Now our adventures are few and far between. So I'm going to look for a rhyme for between. Seem. I use the word seem. So the other thing with rhyming is sometimes it doesn't have to be an exact rhyme, right? It could be, as was as an example of the three syllable words, absurd and preferred and that kind of thing. But I'm going to use the word. So I need something that rhymes with between. But the word that really jumped out at me before I even went through the alphabet was seem. So something not being as it seems. So I'm going to grab that idea. Now our adventures are few and far between. So I've got. So just to sort of recap, you came into my life when times were good for both of us. We were young and wild, unfettered by life's responsibilities. We had fun going on adventures all over the land and would sit together at the end of the night and I would hold your hand. But now we're at a point where we're feeling overburdened. When one sad event turns into another problematic, whatever. Um, Now our adventures are few and far between. We are not nearly as happy as we seem. That's a perfect place to go into a chorus if I just had one. So I'm gonna go. So in thinking about the chorus, I'm gonna go back to the original things that I'd pulled apart, words I'd pulled out. And go from there. Okay, I'm going to use the word. I just want to make sure I understand. I have the full sense of what the word is because I'm very good at sort of being familiar with the word, but sometimes I think I don't always know. So this is what I've written. Life has a tendency to shape us as we go through its daily motions, like scissors cutting paper into tiny pieces. What was once a whole is now torn asunder, which I think is like divided up, but yeah, into pieces. Okay, yeah. So I was using it correctly. So I wanted to double check 100%. So yeah, so we've got this whole idea here now of sort of what this whole song is about. Basically, life getting in the way, and I find so often in life you get caught up just in life, especially if you have youngsters or a business or something that sort of takes all of your focus, and then life kind of passes you by. You put things off, you don't see friends, or you don't go on trips, or you don't whatever it is for you, right? Excuse me. But that's what life does. And then you look up one day and it's like you don't even recognize yourself, you don't recognize your life, you don't recognize anything at all. It's just all there in front of you, and you just suddenly had this wake up moment. And that's kind of in the very, very background at the moment. That's kind of what I've got going for this song. So I'm a half hour in. It's not super exciting, I'm sure, for you to see the top of my head as I sort of play around with this idea. But I will continue tweaking this and putting some music to it. And maybe I'll do this very short one day and sort of play a bit of melody for you, and you can hear what it's like at that point. All right, so thanks very much. And if you catch us in the replay and you have any ideas, just drop them in the chat and I'll respond to them. Take care. Bye.